Thomas, thanks very much for joining us. You've recently launched Monta Capital as an investment fund. I guess just tell us a little bit more about the focus and why now.
The project's been in the pipeline for around 2 years. We've really got to a point now where we've officially launched in all aspects in 2021. So it's been a long while coming, but we've started the fund really to bring institutional capital in from overseas, mainly the Middle East, Asia, Europe, and invest heavily into the opportunity in the UK.
In terms of the outlook at the moment, what are the positive elements that you're seeing driving that?
A positive thing about property is that investing into property offers a range of asset classes underneath that main sector, which at different stages of the cycle offer different risk. Now you've got development, you've got commercial, you have a huge asset class which we really want to focus at, which is logistics. I think where we are now as an independent nation outside of the EU, we will inadvertently have to stand on our own 2 feet, and I think there'll be a lot of growth in industry, and logistics offers a huge opportunity with the amount of land that we have still relatively available in the UK. I think there's a huge opportunity for us as a company to invest capital for clients to look at the growth of the UK over the next 10 or 15 years.
And for you, I suppose, what's driving that opportunity? How are you seeing the long-term aspects of this?
It is important to understand that the first crisis that we had, 2008 through 2010, was led by a mortgage crisis. It was a property-led crisis. Right now, lending is strong. Banks are actually in a very strong position. They're lending, they've got tight constraints. They're actually not being as lenient as they were 12, 18 months ago. So that means that there will continue to be an injection of capital from lenders that will produce growth. So in the short term, property prices may suffer. I mean, I think the most bullish attitude towards property prices in the UK maybe only predicts maybe a 2, 4, 5% growth, which is fine. But the UK as an asset in real estate will also always be a cornerstone of any institutional investor, for sure.
In terms of the kinds of assets, is this commercial? Is it retail? What's the opportunity?
Well, looking away from commercial and retail specifically, I predict we'll see a huge growth in the co-living sector within the residential market. Following COVID-19, I think co-living offers both privacy, the ability for companionship, a support network, and presents a lot of opportunity for development. There's a lot of really smart ways to integrate technology into those types of communities. And as I've said many times, the UK has to demonstrate a way to innovate. We have to move away from traditional values and think of how we can innovate in the way that we develop. We have to, if we're focused, there's a lot of policy about clean energy. There's a lot of policy about the UK being carbon neutral, and that has to filter down into the way that we develop and the way that we produce real estate. So I think we've got a huge opportunity to innovate, introduce technology into the way that we build. And I think co-living outside of major cities is going to be a really interesting way that developers can harness what's gone on over this last 18 months and produce some real positive value.
And do you think there's an element of readaptation for some of the retail or office buildings into that kind of co-living residential space?
Yeah, definitely. I think this notion that offices will die, I think is wrong. I think what has demonstrated, and I can say from a position of owning 2 businesses, is that production and productivity within your staff is always best within an office environment. It's easy to motivate, create ideas, introduce ways to increase output. So once the UK is in a safe place and we can return to the workplace safely, I think you'll see companies come back into maybe a different style of office setup, but they will return to the office. So that commercial market will again recover and be a sensible investment. But retail will definitely change. I've said for many years that retail is a dying industry. We've seen with the likes of these e-com giants that are taking now brands, they don't want the real estate on the high street. They just want the brands and the digital footprint. So I think the way that we buy and consume things will change and will become more hands-off and digital, and that leaves huge amounts of real estate in the UK that we need to do something with. So bringing back to my earlier point, which is about thinking of innovative ways to make use of this, I'll be interested to see if permitted development becomes a bigger play over the next 3 to 5 years. It was very popular 2 years ago. It died down a bit. There's now a reason to convert a lot of this into residential. So those are the sort of things that we'll look at as a fund and work out how we can add value.
Great. Look forward to seeing how it all develops. Thanks very much for joining us, Thomas.
Thank you so much for inviting me, Richard.